light, looking with my real eyes through my real glasses, I can see the polish even when the knife is wet, no problem. But on camera, it just doesn't show up that well when it's wet. That's looking pretty good, and it's feeling pretty damn good. It doesn't really hurt anything to dry these off occasionally, so I'm not gonna waste a lot of time cleaning stones, but I have a little cleaner stone here, and when I'm done sharpening a knife on a stone, whoops, what happens when I'm looking at the picture instead of looking at what I'm doing? I just swirl this around on the surface, and it just sort of evens out any shape, any geometric imperfections that I've worn into the stone, and just cleans the surface. It gets all that swarf off of there. That's what we call just that black metal residue. So there's a little left. I'm not spinning, but you can see I've got the stone almost clean. So I will finish cleaning that later. And now we move on to perhaps the most impressive stone in the Suihiro bottle line, the 4000 grit, which still cuts. The stone cuts like a 2000 and polishes like a 6000. It's just something else. So let's get right to it. So I'm excited to show you what this bevel looks like after I get it off this stone. I mean, you'll see the black piling up on this thing almost right away, and that's because it's cutting steel. And this thing is so smooth, it's like running the blade over, almost like running the blade over a wet glass. I mean, not quite to the extent of my true polishing stones, but it definitely does a great job. Pardon me. I was giving music lessons earlier, so I've already been talking a lot, so my voice gets a little scratchy. Oh yeah, it's looking, wow, this is going to be so much better than it was. I've already almost got a burr all the way down. So I'm going to, I don't want to rush this time spent on the 4000. This is the last real sharpening I'm doing. This 4000 grit stone cuts well enough that it will actually sharpen your edge still. Everything after this is just polishing and refining. The next step is the Nanawa Snow White 8000 grit stone, which I just love. I just love it. I have a couple other 8000 grit stones that I love too. The very affordable for the quality. The Kitayama 8000 grit is also a beast and just does a great job. And I love it. The primary reason that I like my Nanawa Snow White so much is because of the amazing Kasumi finish that it can give on single bevel knives that have a homon or a lamination line in the middle of the bevel where the hardened white or blue steel at the edge of the knife meets the soft iron cladding, and the difference in color texture you get. Oh yeah, how many 4000 grits can really raise a burr that you can feel with just 2 or 3 passes like this? And I'm about to show you what a almost nearly mirror polish this thing leaves. The combination is incredible. This whetstone costs about $140, and it's worth every penny, and it will last you a lifetime. It's a monster. Like, if somebody wore through one of these in an entire lifetime of sharpening, I would be incredibly impressed. So let me dry this. We'll go ahead and let's do the other side. Let's just go ahead and finish on this one. Again, slightly higher on the left side of the knife. Very little small bevel over here, but I'm raising the angle just a little bit. And I think now you're going to be able to see the micro bevel on the back. We call it a micro bevel for a reason. Oh yeah, I got the burr all the way down. Alright, fabulous. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm doing a really good job tonight, I think. Of course, we won't really know until we cut stuff, right? Proof's in the pudding. But now, I want you guys to see how shiny that bevel is. Let's see if I can get it in the light just right. It is almost a mirror. It's going to be even more so when I come off the Nanawa Snow White. But it is really, really nice looking. Here, maybe there. Still developing my selfie cinematography skills. It's coming well, and perhaps now you can see the fine shiny glint, the very edge. Let's see if I can. Yeah. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time trying to show you this back bevel. It's tiny. It's teeny tiny. Perhaps. There you go. Maybe you can just, if I get my black shirt, my black New Ruler shirt, just in the way, maybe you can just see a little glint there. Suffice it to say, the bevel on the backside is very, very small, but it's very, very shiny looking good right now. Okay, I'm not going to clean that. Not going to waste time with that. Let's get these Snow White out. It's the Nanawa Snow White 8000 grit. Nanawa made the stone for many years, and then they discontinued it because they came out with a new and improved model, which I'm sure is also a very fine stone. However, people cried out because they liked the old stone very, very, very well. I'm just getting the surface very smooth here. Excuse me. And nice, get it nicely moistened. The finer the stone, the less water it really needs to absorb to do its job generally. Very rare to find a very fine stone that needs to soak in the water. Alright, now we're really going to get it. And then, to polish it all off, I have a new strop with a new compound. 16,000 grit diamond emulsion. That just does an unbelievable mirror polish on a well sharpened, well polished bevel. Just brings it to that next level and cleans and refines the edge. So I'll be showing you that, and then we'll cut test. So we're very close now. I appreciate everybody bearing with all my silliness. Yeah, it needs a little more water, but oh my god, this is already like, the mirror. It just went to, just with that one pass, it just went to a whole other dimension. So the wider of a bevel you sharpen, when you sharpen a very, very, very wide bevel, like a single bevel knife, like that Deba I showed you earlier, it sets its own angle because it just lays, the bevel just lays flat on the stone. See, this stone is so fine I can't even feel that there's a burr there. I know there is. One more pass on the side. So any bevel that's smaller than like a true single bevel style bevel, which is wide enough to actually create a shelf that sits on the stone, there's a reason we call it a blade road. because it sets its own angle, and you just lay it flat on there, and put enough pressure to keep it nice and flat. You keep your stones nice and flat, and it does the work for you. But any appreciably smaller bevel can rock, and so it's up to you, the sharpener, to hold that angle. And that just comes down to feel and practice. And I hasten to add that you do not need perfect angle control to get a very sharp edge on a knife. It is not necessary. Does it help? Yes, it helps. Is it good? Yes, it's good. Is it necessary? Can you get a supremely sharp edge on a knife without having perfect technique? Yes, you darn well can. I promise. I guarantee. Okay. Wait till y'all see this. And all those coarse diamond plate striations that I was fretting about earlier, they are gone. This thing is pure as the driven snow now. And we will very soon find out if the edge, the actual cutting edge, the only part that really matters, is as good. So I think perhaps now you can see the very tiny shiny glint at the very edge on the left side of the knife, and that is the tiny micro bevel that's over there. Okay, so before we go on the leather strop, now we strop on the stone. So right now, this 8,000 grit stone leaves a burr that is so tiny it is almost, you can't even feel it. But it's there. So we do some final refinement on the stone before we go to the leather. And basically, all this is we just start stropping on the finest whetstone. And all we are doing now is like almost no pressure, just the weight of the knife. We are just refining, polishing, cleaning that very edgy edge of the knife. And any remaining burr that is left will be left standing straight up on the edge. So it will not catch in our cutting. We go to slice paper here in a minute. There will be no wayward sideways sticking burrs to interfere with our paper cutting. It should be just as pure as the driven snow. The longer you do this, the better your edge gets. I'm not going to belabor it too much tonight. But I love this part. This is my part where this is like my beginning of my reward for a job well done. And honestly, when I go to the leather strop, it's like my ultimate reward. And I typically go and sit in my comfy desk chair and relax. And I put the strop on my knee and I just relax and I just strop the thing for a while. That's a lot of why I get my knives as sharp as I do. Because I just, when I go to strop, alright. When I go to strop, I go someplace and I relax and it's like meditative and I zone out, and my stropping is just all the hard work that I did out here on the kitchen counter, grinding on the whetstones, and then it all comes to a beautiful conclusion, just taking my sweet time on the strop. Alright, I'll set that aside. So I'm going to show you guys. This is pretty darn refined right now. But let's do a quick cut test. Some of these Japanese. By the way, this is Japanese newspaper. This is some of the newspaper that my bunch of rusty Japanese knives came packed in. It's pretty good. It's going to be way smoother after stropping. So let's drop it. I have here a dry towel to lay over the business to lay the strop on, because I don't want to get all this slimy water filled with whetstone particles on my strop. So this is my brand new strop, which is loaded with, you see this gray color, that is 1 micron gunny juice, which is a very, very high quality diamond emulsion made specifically for knife stropping. So 1 micron is approximately around 16,000 grits. So you just saw the polish. We just got off the 8,000 grit stone. The goal of stropping is to just polish and clean the edge. However, this diamond emulsion is actually aggressive enough to roll your edge if you do it wrong. So you want to keep approximately the same angle you did sharpening, using very, very light pressure here. Because if I raise this thing up like this and went like that, it would roll the edge. I mean, this stuff it cuts. It takes steel off. So very light pressure, keeping the same angle as the sharpening. And you know, some sharpeners even advocate lowering the angle a little for stropping, just to make sure that the edge doesn't get rolled. So you clean it, you polish the teeth at the edge, while also making sure that you do not roll your perfectly crisp edge over and convex it. So I tend to strop. We're going to do a few finishing strokes on soft leather with 30,000 grit green compound also, because that's what I'm used to, and I still go to that as a comfort zone with most knives. Think, how does dragging steel on leather make it sharp? Well, watch. And by the way, plain leather will do the same thing, because the protein matrix of leather actually will abrade steel. So you can do absolutely the same thing with just plain leather. The compounds and emulsions merely speed up the process. And particularly when I'm making a video for people to watch, I do not mind speeding up the process. All right, let's do one more. One last one on the main side. Let's try that. Yeah, the polish now is getting insane. It's been a long day. Forgive me if I can't twist a knife to catch light. There we go. Look at this. It's a mirror. It's beautiful. Let's get it this way. Quite nice. Quite nice. Let's cut test again, just for fun. I've already run much longer than I thought I would. Set this out of the way. get our handy newspaper back out and get a fresh piece. How about that gunny juice? Alright, let's finish up with a few passes on mild standby. Soft leather with green compound. Just a few. This is just the, it's like no pressure. Now we're just caressing it. And then we'll put it on the best and see how I did. See if I got it better than I did last time. I'm almost hesitant to do it because, you know, it's a gamble. Because I normally just I pick a random spot in the middle of the blade. I don't have like a pet spot that I'm like, oh, I know this one little spot is the sharpest spot, so I'm going to get the best score. So it's a gamble, you know. The blade overall could be just stupid sharp, and I could have one tiny little speck of a spot that isn't quite as sharp, and if that's the spot that touches the string for the cut test, that is the score I get. I am barely touching this leather, like just the weight of the knife. Someday I'm going to get a little stand for the stealth phone camera so I can get up a little higher angle so you can see some of the stuff a little better. Alright, let's get a dry towel now. Let's do the final dry on this. Final wipe. Wow, that looks good. Show it off just a little bit. Now it's a mirror finish. You can see the satin of the side of the blade where I just sanded it. I sanded it up to 600 grit sandpaper. So it has a nice kind of satin finish that I like. Maybe I can find that sweet spot on the light again. It's been a long day, did I mention that? Alright, there we go. Pretty nice. Alright, let's do a couple slices. We'll take a best score, see how I did. This newspaper is all crinkled up, so it hits little spots. It doesn't cut it smoothly. That's alright. Usually I'm all about my corporate sponsor, Winn-Dixie, but they have been very slack about sending me their flyers the last couple weeks. Maybe they finally got wise to the fact that I don't actually shop there. Oops. So we have this crinkly newspaper, which is a nice across the grain. Yeah. The crinkles definitely interfere with the cut. Not making excuses, it's just how it is. Overall, very smooth cutting. Alright. Let's give it a final wipe. We'll get the best tester set up here. Turn it on. This is the moment where I prepare to be humiliated. I don't think I'll be humiliated, but I might not be wowed by it. You know, it could be anything. So I got a 78 off it last time. Okay. All right. First score is a 120. Let's do one more, just for fun. We'll do it in a slightly different spot. It parted, so I didn't even feel it part. I might have actually I might have accidentally like pushed down on something I shouldn't have. Not making excuses. Perfectly happy with, okay. Let's try it one more time. Okay, got the knife in the fulcrum. And a 114. Well, that's pretty consistent. Two different spots on the blade. So I guess I have to live with the 115, 120-ish range today. So that's somewhere in between the sharpness of a shaving razor and a utility razor. However, cuts very nicely. Whoop. Special if I don't drop the paper. So I'll be doing some sushi with this weekend, I think. This is going to be next up for the sushi demos. So we'll get to see it actually cutting some real food and see how it does. So I'll sign off until then, and hope you all have a good night and have enjoyed this little video, which will probably end up being a series of videos depending on how my phone chopped it up. And catch y'all next time. And don't forget to support local and live music. Catch y'all later. Have a good night.